is no such obligation. No such obligation exists.
Virginia, you have an obligation to your own sanity.
I've endured this custody. Endured this imprisonment.
Why is it that when a beautiful actress wants to be taken seriously, she has to make herself ugly? Think about it. How many times have we seen a gorgeous Hollywood star undergo a dramatic physical transformation and suddenly she's an Oscar frontrunner? Charlize Theron gained weight and more prosthetics to play a serial killer in the movie Monster. Nicole Kidman strapped on a fake nose to embody Virginia Woolf in The Hours, and she won an Oscar. Anne Hathaway chopped off her hair and shed weight to win an Oscar. It's a predictable cycle. If a stunning actress wants critical respect, she often has to strip away her beauty to prove she's more than just a pretty face. But why does Hollywood demand that women erase their conventional attractiveness in order to be taken seriously? Why is physical suffering, whether through weight gain, weight loss, or drastic makeovers, seen as the ultimate marker of real acting? And more importantly, why aren't male actors held to the same standard? This trend isn't just about the entertainment industry. It reflects deeper cultural biases about beauty, talent, and the way women are perceived in the public eye. Today we're unpacking why Hollywood still equates physical transformation with artistic merit, and what that says about the broader expectations placed on women, not just in film, but in everyday life. Chapter 1. The Curse of the Bombshell. How Hollywood Typecast Beautiful Women. Hollywood's love affair with beauty is as old as the beauty industry itself. Being a bombshell can open doors for an actress early in her career, but those doors often lead to a dead end. Once an actress is labeled as the sexy one, she's rarely given the chance to prove she can do more. Instead, she's slotted into roles that capitalize on her looks. Whether it's the sultry femme fatale, the unattainable dream girl, or the alluring but disposable love interest, these roles may bring fame and fortune, but they often lack complexity, leaving actresses stuck in a cycle where they are valued more for their appearance than for their talent. This pattern has repeated itself throughout Hollywood history. Marilyn Monroe, one of the most iconic sex symbols of all time, was desperate to be seen as a serious actress. Despite training at the esteemed actor's studio under Lee Strasberg, she struggled to escape the dumb blonde stereotype that had made her famous. Films like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and Some Like It Hot cemented her status as a comedic genius, but because her performances were wrapped in beauty and seduction, she was often dismissed as an entertainer rather than a true artist. When she fought for better roles, like her dramatic performance in Bus Stop, Hollywood executives were reluctant to take the risk, fearing audiences wouldn't accept her outside the sex symbol mold. Raquel Welch faced a similar struggle. Though she was one of the most recognizable faces of the 60s and 70s, she was rarely given the opportunity to show her depth as an actress. Her breakthrough role in 1 Million Years BC featured her in a fur bikini, solidifying her image as a pin-up girl rather than a performer. Despite her talents, she was cast in roles that emphasize her body rather than her ability to deliver compelling performances. In a 2012 interview, Raquel Welch reflected on this struggle, stating, "I had to constantly fight for the right to be recognized as something other than a sex object." Fast forward to the 2000s, the same pattern continued. Megan Fox became a global sensation after her breakout role in The Transformers, where she was primarily framed through the male gaze, bending over cars, running in slow motion, and existing mainly to be ogled by both the audience and her male co-stars. Despite her acting potential, Hollywood saw her as nothing more than a sex symbol. And when she began speaking out against the way she was treated, she was blacklisted. Studios were eager to cast her as the hot girl, but unwilling to let her evolve beyond that. In a 2021 interview, Megan Fox revealed that she had spent years trying to undo the damage of being typecast, stating, "I was never given the opportunity to be anything other than the image that was created around me." Even today, actresses often have to actively fight against being trapped in the bombshell stereotype. Margot Robbie is a prime example. After her breakthrough role on The Wolf of Wall Street, she was in danger of being typecast as a stunning but shallow love interest. Despite delivering a sharp and intelligent performance, much of the media coverage focused on her looks, and she was frequently asked in interviews how she felt about being objectified rather than about her craft. Instead of waiting for Hollywood to give her a chance to prove herself, Robbie took matters into her own hands. She founded her own production company, Lucky Chap Entertainment, which has produced critically acclaimed films like I, Tonya and Promising Young Woman, giving her the opportunity to play and create roles that have real depth. The The industry is quick to capitalize on a woman's beauty, but slow to recognize her talent. This is why so many actresses eventually feel the need to take drastic measures to prove they are more than just a pretty face. Whether it's shaving their heads, gaining or losing extreme amounts of weight, or drastically altering their appearance, these transformations serve as a way to demand respect in an industry that often refuses to see past surface level appeal. And the expectation remains clear. Beauty alone is not enough, and if an actress wants to be taken seriously, she must first shed the very thing that made Hollywood fall in love with her. Chapter 2. The Oscar bait transformation. Why ugly equals serious acting. If there's one foolproof way for a conventionally attractive actress to earn industry respect, it's by undergoing an extreme physical transformation. While male actors win Oscars simply by delivering strong performances, women, particularly those who are deemed too beautiful, often feel pressured to dramatically alter their appearance to be taken seriously. And this phenomenon has become such a predictable trend that audiences and critics alike can almost anticipate an Academy Award when an actress makes herself unrecognizable for the role. Obviously, the most famous example is Charlize Theron's transformation in the film Monster. Charlize, one of the most stunning actresses in Hollywood, completely abandoned her glamour to play a real-life serial killer. She gained weight, wore prosthetic teeth, altered her posture, and adopted an entirely different way of moving and speaking, and the result, an Oscar. I mean, she did do a really good job, I'm not going to deny that. And it wasn't just her performance that impressed the Academy, it was the effort it took to distance herself from her own beauty. The industry's message was clear: a beautiful woman can be a great actress, but only if she's willing to erase her beauty first. Nicole Kidman followed the same formula in The Hours. Known for her ethereal beauty and classic Hollywood elegance, Nicole Kidman donned a prosthetic nose to play writer Virginia Woolf. Despite the film's ensemble cast, including strong performances from Meryl Streep and Julianne Moore, Kidman was the one who walked away with the Oscar. Much of the media coverage focused on how she looked so different, rather than just her acting skills. And once again, the transformation itself became part of the reason why she was celebrated. And again, Anne Hathaway did this in 2012, which was another striking example with the role of Fantine, which required deep emotional range. And Anne Hathaway's most talked about commitment to the part was her extreme weight loss and the moment she shaved her head on camera. The industry and audiences alike praised the suffering she endured for the role, almost more than the actual acting. And the end result, she also won an Oscar. And the transformation mattered just as much, if not more, than the talent. And this trend has been happening for decades. In Boys Don't Cry, Hilary Swank took home the Academy Award for playing a transgender man. To prepare for the role, she cut her hair, bound her chest, and lived as a man for a month before filming. While Swank's performance was powerful, the industry largely focused on how much she had changed physically for the role. Similarly, Natalie Portman's win for Black Swan came after months of extreme dieting and ballet training. Her transformation into a dangerously thin and obsessive dancer played a major role in the film's success, reinforcing the idea that physical sacrifice is essential for female actors seeking awards. Renee Zellweger's experience with Bridget Jones' Diary highlights another layer of this pattern. While the film is a romantic comedy rather than a dramatic Oscar bait film, the way Renee Zellweger's transformation was discussed by the media was telling. She gained 30 pounds for the role, and the conversations surrounding her performance often focused on how much she had changed her body, rather than her comedic timing and emotional depth. While she later slimmed down to return to her usual figure, the press was just as fixated on her weight loss. I know for the Judy movie, when she won the Oscar, she did lose a lot of weight for that movie and kind of wore prosthetics as well, I think prosthetic teeth. And the transformation rather than the actual performance became the headline. And the deeper question here is, why is visible suffering such a key ingredient in Hollywood's definition of serious acting? For women, the expectation is not just to act, but to prove the dedication through the physical sacrifice. It's as if talent alone is not enough. There must be some kind of transformation, preferably one that involves discomfort, pain, and complete departure from traditional beauty standards. And this expectation doesn't apply to men in the same way. While male actors like Christian Bale in The Machinist, Vice, and Matthew McConaughey in Dallas Buyers Club have all undergone extreme weight transformations for roles, there are just as many instances of men winning Oscars without changing their physical appearance at all. Leonardo DiCaprio's long-awaited Oscar win for The Revenant was celebrated not because he looked drastically different, but because he endured harsh filming conditions. roles. He was still allowed to be conventionally attractive while proving his dedication to the role through other means. For women, however, the transformation almost always has to be visual. It is not enough to act out suffering. It must be physically evident. The industry's message remains clear. If a woman is too beautiful, her talent will be questioned unless she's willing to de-glam herself. As a result, many actresses take on roles that require them to drastically alter their appearance, not just to immerse themselves in a character, but to send a signal that they are serious artists. This unspoken rule reveals a broader cultural bias, one that equates beauty with superficiality and suffering with artistic depth. Until Hollywood learns to separate an actress's talent from her appearance, the ugly transformation will likely remain a surefire way to win an Oscar. Chapter 3: The Long History of the Pretty Woman Can't Be Talented Bias. The idea that a woman's beauty undermines her credibility isn't just a modern Hollywood issue. It's a centuries-old bias that is played out across entertainment, politics, and virtually every other field where women seek recognition. The entertainment industry in particular has long upheld the notion that a beautiful woman must prove her worth beyond her looks, while a less conventionally attractive woman is more naturally assumed to possess intelligence, depth, and artistic merit. This expectation forces many women to work twice as hard, or in Hollywood's case, to actively diminish their beauty to be taken seriously. In the 19th century, theater audiences and critics frequently divided actresses into two categories: the glamorous, seductive diva and the restrained, serious actress. The French actress Sarah Bernhardt, known for her striking beauty and extravagant persona, was one of the most famous performers of her time, but she was often dismissed as theatrical over the top. Meanwhile, her Italian contemporary, Eleonora Duse, who favored a more naturalistic and understated style of acting, was praised as a true artist. And what was the difference? Duse's lack of flamboyant glamour made her appear more authentic to critics who were eager to dismiss Bernhardt's talent in favor of fixating on her looks. This divide carried into the golden age of Hollywood, where beauty was both a blessing and a curse. Grace Kelly, one of the most elegant and refined actresses of her generation, was adored for her poise but not always taken seriously as a dramatic performer. Ava Gardner, one of the most breathtakingly beautiful women in cinema, was seen first and foremost as a sex symbol, despite delivering strong performances in films like Night at the Iguana. Meanwhile, actresses like Katharine Hepburn, who rejected Hollywood's traditional beauty standards by dressing in trousers and exuding an air of intellectual superiority, were often viewed as serious and highbrow performers. The implication was clear: an actress who played into her beauty was seen as lightweight, while one who distanced herself from glamour was awarded credibility. And even in the 20th century, this bias affected some of the biggest stars in Hollywood. Marilyn Monroe, despite being a gifted actress and comedian, was rarely given roles that allowed her to stretch her abilities because she was seen primarily as a sex symbol. While Monroe worked hard to break free from this perception, studying at the Actors Studio in New York and pushing for deeper roles, Hollywood was reluctant to let go of her dumb blonde image. In contrast, someone like Meryl Streep, whose beauty was never the central focus of her image, was granted serious dramatic roles early in her career without having to prove herself the same way. This cultural bias extends far beyond the entertainment industry. In academia, corporate leadership, and even politics, beautiful women often find themselves having to downplay their appearance to be taken seriously. Studies have shown that attractive women in executive positions are sometimes perceived as less competent than their male or less conventionally attractive female counterparts. The phrase beauty and brains exists because society sees the combination as unusual, whereas men are not burdened with the same assumption. Hollywood amplifies these biases on a global stage. Because film is a visual medium, the way actresses are perceived directly affects the roles they are offered and the level of respect they receive. A beautiful actress may have to work for years or completely alter her image to be recognized as a serious artist. Meanwhile, male actor's appearance is rarely held against him in the same way. And this deeply ingrained perception continues to shape the way audiences, critics, and industry professionals view women, reinforcing the idea that beauty is a double-edged sword, one that can open doors, but also place limitations on how far the actors will go. Chapter 4: When Ugly Fails, the Double Standard for Men. While actresses are expected to go to the extreme lengths to shed their beauty for credibility, male actors are rarely held to the same standard. Yes, there are exceptions. Christian Bale Bale's dramatic waist loss, Matthew McConaughey's Joaquin Phoenix skeletal frame in The Joker, but these cases are notable precisely because they are exceptions. For the most part, men can win Oscars while maintaining their natural appearance, proving that Hollywood doesn't demand the same physical sacrifices from male actors that it does on women. Actors like Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, and George Clooney all have won major awards without needing to dramatically alter their looks. DiCaprio finally secured his Oscar in The Revenant, but he still looked like Leonardo DiCaprio, and if you compare that to Charlize Theron in Monster, you're comparing apples and oranges. The transformation she had to go through to make herself look unattractive, and men can prove their dedication to a role through action, extreme physicality, intense stunt work, and method acting, while women are often expected to prove it by altering their faces and bodies. This double standard is rooted in Hollywood's different expectations for men and women. Male actors are typically judged for their talent first and looks second. A man can be handsome and still be considered a great actor without needing to prove his range through physical transformation. Even actors who are known for their attractiveness, like Paul Newman, Robert Redford, Ryan Gosling, and Henry Cavill, are allowed to play serious roles without being dismissed because of their looks, and that's so true. And meanwhile, a woman's beauty is often seen as her defining characteristic, overshadowing her abilities until she finds a way to make herself appear less conventionally attractive. Take Denzel Washington, who won Best Actor for Training Day without needing to undergo a drastic transformation, or Al Pacino, who won for Scent of a Woman without altering his appearance. These actors delivered remarkable performances, but they weren't required to fundamentally change how they looked in order to be taken seriously. And for women, the opposite is true. If they are too beautiful, they are often seen as merely movie stars, rather than serious performances. This is why many actresses take on roles that require them to gain weight, cut their hair, or wear heavy prosthetics. It's not just about a character immersion, it's about proving that their talent can overcome their looks. And this expectation stems from the long-standing belief that women's primary value in Hollywood is their appearance. And from the earliest days of cinema, actresses were chosen for their beauty, with their talent often being secondary. And leading men, however, were cast for their screen presence, charisma, and acting ability. Looks were an added bonus, but not a requirement. This is why actors like Jack Nicholson, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Daniel Day-Lewis are all highly respected and decorated performers. They never had to worry about whether they were considered conventionally attractive. Their talent alone was enough. I mean, it does work for certain female actresses too, who are very talented, but for the most part, the ones who are considered conventionally quite attractive seem to have to do a drastic alteration. In contrast, actors who often struggle to get taken seriously unless they deliberately make themselves look less attractive, who has been praised throughout her career for acting but has never been considered a classic Hollywood beauty. I mean, I have been watching a lot of her old movies, and I do think she was really pretty when she was younger. Not that she's not now, but I do appreciate that she didn't, alter her appearance and get a nose job and completely change her look. And she's quite captivating with her acting in her older movies, and because she was never boxed into the bombshell category, she was able to take on serious roles without having to prove herself first. And then she was more than just her looks. And on the other hand, there's actresses like Angelina Jolie, Halle Berry, and Scarlett Johansson, who are all stunning women with undeniable talent and have had to work harder to be seen as legitimate actors. When they play glamorous roles, their talent is often overlooked, but when they strip away their beauty, suddenly they are seen as serious performers. And this double standard becomes even clearer when looking at comedic actors. Male comedians like Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen, and Will Ferrell can transition into dramatic roles without changing their physical appearance. Meanwhile, actors known for comedic roles like Amy Schumer, Mindy Kaling, and Anna Faris are rarely given the same opportunity unless they undergo some sort of dramatic transformation. Men can be seen as funny, charismatic, and talented at any weight or level of attractiveness, while women are often required to fit a narrow mold of either glamorous beauty or self-sacrificing transformation. And this expectation extends beyond Hollywood and into broader society. Women in leadership, politics, and business face the same bias. A conventionally attractive woman in position of power is often perceived as less intelligent or competent, while a woman who downplays her looks is seen as more capable. And it is true, like a lot of people, for interviews are like, don't wear something low cut, don't try to dress too revealing, to kind of downplay your looks to be taken seriously. I mean, I've heard people doing that even on dates, where they don't want to dress too revealing because they want the person on the date to focus on their personality personality versus their appearance. And until Hollywood learns to judge actors for their talent alone without requiring them to alter their appearance to prove their dedication, the ugly transformation trope will remain a go-to strategy for women seeking critical respect. And while male actors continue to win awards based on the performances alone, female actresses will likely still be asked to shed their beauty before they can be seen as true artists. Chapter 5 is Hollywood finally changing. While the ugly transformation trope remains a powerful strategy for actresses seeking industry recognition, there are signs that Hollywood is slowly evolving. In recent years, we've seen a growing number of actresses build their careers on emotionally raw, powerful performances without relying on extreme physical transformations. Florence Pugh is a standout example. She has established herself as a serious actress through roles in Midsummer, Little Women, and The Wonder, all of which showcase her dramatic range without requiring her to drastically alter her appearance. I do notice when I've watched a lot of her recent movies, she doesn't get any Botox or anything, so she has a ton of emotion in her face when she acts. Similar, Zendaya, despite her undeniable beauty and fashion icon status, has been steadily earning critical acclaim for her performances, obviously in Euphoria and Dune. Unlike actresses from past generations, neither of them has had to deglamorize themselves to be seen as legitimate actresses. And part of this shift can be attributed to the rise of independent films and streaming platforms, which have expanded the types of stories being told and the ways in which they are judged. Unlike traditional studio systems, which has long been controlled by male executives who enforce rigid beauty standards, streaming platforms like Netflix, Hulu, and A24-backed films allow for more diverse storytelling and nuanced female roles. These platforms have opened the door for actresses to prove their ability in complex, layered characters without the need for the metamorphosis. Moreover, social media has given actresses more control of their narratives. In the past, actresses were at the mercy of the press, who dictated how they were perceived. If an actress wanted to be taken seriously, she had to play by Hollywood's rules. But now, with social media, actresses can showcase their personalities, thoughts, and behind-the-scenes work in ways that go beyond their screen appearances. And this increased visibility makes it harder for the industry to pigeonhole them based on beauty alone. That said, the ugly transformation trope still holds immense power, as long as the Academy and major industry players continue to reward suffering and drastic physical change as a gold standard for serious acting. Actresses will likely continue to take on these roles to gain credibility. Just look at Jessica Chastain's Oscar-winning role as Tammy Faye, where she wore extensive prosthetics, or Brendan Fraser, who in The Whale, which won him Best Actor largely due to his extreme physical transformation. And these recent wins reinforce the idea that the Academy values performances where actors physically endure something, whether it be weight gain, weight loss, or heavy prosthetic work, over performances that simply are well acted. I mean, I do love a dramatic transformation, I'm not gonna lie. And another interesting factor to consider is how age intersects with beauty and credibility in Hollywood. Young, beautiful actresses often face an uphill battle to be taken seriously, but once they reach a certain age, beauty is no longer considered their defining trait. This is seen when actresses like Cate Blanchett, Frances McDormand, and Olivia Colman, who can be celebrated for their talent without needing to undergo physical transformations, and they've already aged out of the bombshell category. Conversely, young actresses who start their careers with stunning looks often feel an urgent pressure to prove that they are more than just their appearance, which is why they may be more likely to take on extreme roles early in their careers. And it's true, you get typecast, especially if you don't make the shift and you take on too many roles that are based on someone's appearance. And the real shift will come when beauty no longer is seen as an obstacle to be recognized as a serious artist. As Hollywood continues to evolve, we may see a future where actresses don't have to uglify themselves to be considered for awards. However, as long as the industry continues to place a premium on transformation and suffering, the ugly for Oscar trend will persist. I mean, I do like it when people do these transformations, and I can appreciate it in many ways when you can't even recognize them because they're so in this character. But the question is, will Hollywood ever learn to separate physical transformation from acting talent? Or will the industry continue rewarding visible sacrifice over pure performance? And until then, actresses will likely still feel pressure to prove their worth the the way male actors never have to. So what do you think? Are we finally witnessing a change in Hollywood, or is the ugly transformation trope here to stay? Let me know in the comments below. Curious what your thoughts about the Oscar nominations this year. There's still a lot of movies I haven't seen, but I always love your thoughts about the ugly transformation. I mean, I do enjoy it in some ways, but I think it works for those really conventionally attractive actresses that aren't taken seriously until they completely transform themselves. Anyways, thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments below.